show. Two travel agents. One wild ride.
Hello and welcome to the Tahryn and Karen show.
I'm Tahryn.
And I'm Karen. And today we're calling this Tangent Tuesday. Tuesdays are always tough. And to be honest, we were trying to figure out what we wanted to talk about. And we're kind of all over the board. So we're just going to kind of be all over the board today.
Yeah. Totally. So what's on your Tuesday agendas?
Well, today, first of all, I don't like Tuesdays because they are very tough. And they're just tough. So I try to save my itineraries for Tuesdays because I'm not a fan of itineraries.
And when you say itinerary, what does that mean? Like final before
So
travel or like quoting?
Yeah, so about 3 weeks before my clients travel, I'll send out to them all their detailed flight information, hotel, transfers, insurance, everything in a nice little packet that I actually mail to them.
Me too.
Nice. I think that's just a nice little added touch, right? And so I have to do that. And honestly, so I use Travel Joy,
Okay.
the CRM. I like their tool. I think it's great. It's just, I wish I could just copy, manipulate. It's like everything is building from scratch.
You can't save it as a library item?
No, they don't have library unless it's within a group. If it's within a group, then you can duplicate. But if it's not within a group, you can't.
Well, every time you have to start with a fresh, like, can you like say you quoted them in Travefy, or do you do that? And can you like convert it to an itinerary and then just fill in the details?
Yeah. So actually, as soon as like when you send to them a proposal and they hit accept, it then turns it into an itinerary.
Okay.
So that's really nice. So you're probably like, then Karen, why are itineraries such a pain for you? Well, Karen, let me tell
There's
you.
a lot more detail.
I've just started also to use like the full extent of Travel Joy. Like, let's take a moment. Karen got her credit card authorization form all set up now.
Yeah. So much
now
easier, right?
Like, oh my gosh, it's all right there. It all gets loaded in. Yeah, it's like a beautiful thing. The only thing I don't like is it asks for like how much people can authorize, like how much, and so they're always like, how much do I need to authorize you for? Like, I don't know. Put a number in. Like,
Isn't that wouldn't it be like their payment amount?
yeah, but like some of them then want to do transfer, or they want me to do excursions and other things for them, and so I'm like, just always add like $1,000 on top of it for other things that you want me to book for you.
Huh.
Like, it's just a field I can't remove.
Yeah.
So
does that skew your date? Well, by them putting in the higher amount, does that change the trip value for you, or that's just not tied together?
It's not tied together. I think it's just in the background of making sure, like, if from a legal perspective, if let's say I charged $20,000 and they only approved $8,000.
Yeah, like a chargeback.
Yeah, it's kind of one of those type of things. So, what do you use for itineraries?
So I use Travefy. So my host gives us TESS, TESS, or MAG. I don't know. I think it goes by TESS, which I have to log for payment, to log my bookings and get paid for them. But I don't really care for the look of the documents that system spits out. So I do use some automation in there for myself, like reminders and trip milestones and things like that. I store my customer information in there. And I use the welcome, pre-trip email automation and welcome back automation. But the quoting and itineraries I do in Travefy because I find it much nicer. There is a library function. And so I sell a lot of the same destinations, and I've built up a nice library of like hotels that I use a lot, my transfers, rental car, whatever it is. It's a lot of just drag and drop. So I'm actually pretty fast with quoting in there. Once I have the quote, once I've done the quote, putting it into Travelify is very easy. The one thing that doesn't always work for me though is converting it to an itinerary, because sometimes you're making changes, sometimes something drops out. And so by the time, like on a normal year when they're planning, 6 to 12 months before, sorry, um,
Right.
we're making changes over time. And so the original itinerary that may be approved is no longer accurate. And so we wind up rebuilding it anyway. And the information I put in a quote is much more high level, stuff you would care about, I think, at that point. It's like, what should I know about this? Let's say I'm doing Europe, right? What should you know about this
Right.
hotel? What room category would it be? And, what's included and what's not included. So high level, it's like, breakfast
Right.
is included and municipal taxes due at the hotel. Top line, right? Like, you
Yeah.
don't need to know more than that at that point. But when you're traveling, you need all the other stuff, right? So it's like the address and
Everything.
check-in time and what do you need to check in and, blah, 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 blah. So typically it winds up becoming a separate document anyway. And so what I really like about Travelify, and I don't know if Travel Joy does this, but they also get an app version, like a free app version of that itinerary. It has the chat feature in there. I can attach documents on it. I can send it out over email. I can, do a lot with it. So that's been super helpful. But I think the part that it sounds like Travel Joy doesn't have is, like, say I have 2 families going to Italy within a couple weeks of each other, and they're somewhat similar. I can copy the one itinerary and just
Right.
update it for the other person. So it does save a little bit of time there.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's not able to. I used to use Travelify, and then, excuse me, I was looking just at all my tools, and I'm like, I have way too many tools. I can't
I agree.
keep all these tools. The nice thing too, like with Travel Joy, at least, like when I get a finalized itinerary from like one of the, FunJet or one of those guys, I can just drag and drop that PDF in and it'll read it. And I think Travelify does
Travelify
that
does
too.
that as well, but I don't always love
Yeah.
what it imports. Like, I'm going to wind up
Okay.
changing it anyway.
Yeah, I still manipulate it a little bit, but like
Yeah.
it at least like I add in headers more than anything. I
Okay.
just wish it was kind of like I could just set my template. This is always my template.
Use this. Yeah.
This is it's
that'd
gonna
be
start
nice.
like this. It's gonna
Like some of, like, for example, like a
just
FunJet reservation, like an invoice or whatever. Some of that, they put that red screamy copy on there about, resort fees or whatever. Sometimes that's not accurate to what the current fee is. So it's like, and there's like a lot of excess stuff that maybe doesn't apply. So it takes time. And I think I also send out a physical package. And so I try to time that 2 to 3 weeks ahead as well. And so that takes time, and I have a very nice branded package. So I'll tell you about mine and then you can tell me about yours. So I have a branded folder that has my brand on it. It's got, the business card in it. They have printouts of all of their reservations, a PDF of the final itinerary from Shopify, which you can export out of Shopify. And then they have all of whatever tickets they need for tours, trains, for Mexico, for example, I have an airport map for certain all-inclusive resorts. I've created my own grids of their dining and the times and the dress codes and, is a reservation required? It just depends on where. Like, certain places I'll print off a restaurant list. It just, kind of varies. And then everybody gets a branded drawstring backpack bag and luggage tags that have my branding on it so that they can, use that on their trip. They use white, which, some people are like, oh, it gets so dirty. But you see white coming around the luggage. luggage.
Oh, yeah, everything.
And then it all goes in a bright teal bubble mailer. So you cannot miss it when it shows up at your house.
No, you can't. I do love your bubble mailers. When I got my Barbie hat, which we need to wear our Barbie hats one of these days. Yeah, I do something really similar, but I many years ago, when my husband and I first started traveling, we actually worked with this travel agent, and she gave us these zippered portfolios,
Huh?
and it was meant to put your passports in.
Yeah.
And then when you get, and like all your materials, and then when you get to the resort, you just throw it in the safe. And so that's what I give, because I still have
You'll
that
use it.
original one. I don't use it anymore because I use my own.
Yeah.
But everybody who books with me the first time, if you book second, I still mail it, but it's not, you don't get it this way. I send them it all in a binder with some chapstick and a pen. So they've got everything they need. And in it, it's got a little notebook.
Wow.
So if they wanted to write down different things or whatever, then I just stick their itinerary right in there. So
And
then
that's
they've got all
branded.
of
You
it
have
in
your
one place. I say, all you have to do is,
you have your brand on
I
there.
got my big logo. I was trying to look, but I don't
I
have
don't have
one in front of me, but
either.
it's all on the front. It's a huge one. It just says walls to walls, big logo. So when they're carrying it around the airport, everybody can see it.
See that where they came from.
Yeah.
Yeah, I used to
Mhm.
have
And then
go ahead.
I said the only thing, like, you do phone numbers, I put in like, here are some important phone numbers you might need. So if they're traveling over to Europe and they got flights,
Yeah.
right? Like, here are the numbers to call. You can call me, but if you need like urgent help, these are the numbers you need to call. So it's front and handy.
Yeah, I like that. Um, are they? You don't have to give me a number, but are they pricey? Are they reasonable price? Like those seem like that would be a little pricey.
They're like $6
Okay,
a thing, which is not, I mean,
it adds
I
up.
look at it and go, well, it's still marketing.
Yeah,
It
I
adds
mean you
up,
can
especially when you do
allocate
big.
it as I write mine as advertising because it is the logo and the brand
Yep.
getting out there. Um, but I've wrestled with it a little bit. I mean, I have not stopped sending packages. I've started that from the beginning and have continued with it. I think my packages have changed over time. I used to include a lot more, and they were higher value items, like more expensive bags, and um,
Yeah.
I've kind of stepped back a little bit on that just from a cost perspective because not every trip warrants a $10 bag or something like that. Um,
Right.
so that's been an interesting transition, and no one's really it's extra, right? Like nobody's expecting that stuff, so it's kind of like, oh, it's kind of when you get something in the mail, it feels like it builds the excitement for the trip, and it makes a nice presentation, and
Yeah.
it doesn't have to be crazy over the top. I've had pens, I've
No.
had luggage grippers, I've had the big totes, I've had all kinds of stuff over the years, and this one, especially with shipping prices
Oh,
continuing
ridiculous.
to go up, these give a nice, kind of lower offer. I used to have even the mailers, to be honest. You can take tossed out of a mailer. Like I use those bubble mailers. I used to use a metallic version, which was really cool, but heavier. And so this new version, I went to this new version because they didn't make the metallic anymore, but I think I like the new version better because they're lighter and you save a little bit on the shipping. Um, 'Cause, when you do volume, that adds up.
I know. I usually ship mine out priority mail,
Oh,
and it's probably right. So they get it really fast.
pricey.
Probably, it brings some people, yeah, it does get pricey. Some people, live just like a town
Yeah.
over, but I still feel like it's important to put it in the mail versus going and dropping off.
Yeah.
Now there's some people who are local who will stop and I'll drop it off in their mailbox or whatever, but because I'm not going to mail it if it's someone down my street. But
I do.
if it's a town or a couple towns over, I will still,
There's
I'll
I
still
just
mail
got one
it
the
to
other day. They're literally like, I could walk there and I mailed it.
you did not.
Well, I didn't want to
That's
be like
awesome.
creepy and be like, hey, here's your packet,
I just put it in their mailboxes. Was like, here you go.
What do you use
But
for
yeah,
your postage?
so I use the U.S. Postal Service.
Oh, girl.
Priority mail.
Okay.
Supporting. We got a great little great little post office in my little town of 1,500
Oh,
people.
that's so cute.
But they're so helpful, and the supplies are right there, which starting out, that was, supplies
Yeah,
are a big thing.
expensive.
So yeah, I mean, eventually I want to branch out. Like if I have a bride or whatever, like book with me, I want to be like make a nice little like package for them and stuff. But I always teeter between doing that for them versus doing something when they're on resort.
Yeah.
Like I'd rather do that, have something special. Like today I was booking a cruise for a honeymoon coming up, and I was able to get them the romance package
Right.
for free, right? And
Yeah.
that's just a nice little add-on that
Yeah.
I'd rather do that type of things than send them a box full of schmutz that they're gonna be
Yeah.
like,
Usually
right,
I'll
thanks,
like
Karen.
I'll order something to the room, or especially if it's like a first cruise or a celebration, I'll even pay for the room to be decorated um
Yeah,
on certain lines. I mean, not a lot of lines offer that, right? But like
right,
Royal Caribbean and Celebrity, they give travel agents a little bit of a discount on that stuff, so that makes it a little bit easier to do. Um
right.
Back on the postage, so I was using USPS as well, and those rates up and up and up and up. And so I started
Oh my
looking
gosh.
around for other options to cut some costs out, because I don't want to make it seem like all I do is cut costs, because that's not it. But I like to cut
No,
where I can, that's smart and doesn't sacrifice
right,
the experience, so that I can fund other things like more advertising or
right.
invest in my website, or ads or whatever it is. There's a website out there, not endorsed, by the way. This is not
No, no official
no official.
endorsement here.
Well, they're not sponsoring me. Let's say that. At least
If
not yet.
if you want if you want to sponsor, we're open.
At
Come
least not
on
yet.
in.
But I use pirateship.com. And so my sister,
I
yeah, my sister was running a little store on Poshmark, and she was shipping out a lot of stuff. And I was like, what do you guys use for that kind of stuff? Because they're shipping out a lot, right? And she told me about this site, and their rates are significantly less than the post office. And I
Wow.
can buy it online. I print the label right off of there. I put it on the package, and then we have like a little post office outpost in the pharmacy near us. So it's all prepaid mail. I just drop it off, and they scan
And
it
it
and give
goes,
me a receipt, and I can track it through there. I can see who's delivered, who's in transit. And I'd say I cut my costs at least 40%, if not 50.
wow, I'm gonna have
Yeah.
to go take a look at that because yeah, like when it really well, I used to charge a fee. And as part of that fee, it kind of
Cover
covered the
that.
expense of the shipping and the binder and the chapstick, which by the way, my chapstick apparently everybody tells me is fantastic. But it's on currently on back order, so I don't have any. I'm down to 5
Oh
tubes.
no.
So I know. And everyone's like, can we have some more of your chapstick? I'm like, no, you can't because I don't have any. I can't stop. But that kind of covered the cost.
Yeah.
But then I decided to walk away from my fee, which I'm completely fine with.
Yeah.
Um, I feel like it has removed a
Yep.
barrier for people. It's removed uncomfortableness for me too. Like I don't have to explain like, okay, now you have to pay me and then I will send you something and then we'll do this. Like it's just nice and easy and let's be honest, I was sending them quotes without getting paid anyways. So I'm like, why am I charging this fee? So now I kind of have to absorb that in, but it's one of those things I buy them, twice a year.
Yeah.
Um,
I buy everything in
in
bulk.
like a bulk of 150 to 500 at a time.
Yeah.
And you kind of go from it. I'm trying to figure out where I stop with some of these binders in some instances. Like if I've got a family of 10 going, everybody is not getting a binder. I don't care if they're all adults.
Nope.
They're not all getting a binder.
I do it by
So
room.
I've worked through that. That's a good idea. Yeah. And so but like when I do some of these big groups, they go fast. Like
Oh
all of a
yeah.
sudden I'm like, oh, okay. There went 25.
I have a wedding group coming up in the summer, and it's 55 rooms and over 100 and something people.
Oh my
And
gosh.
so That's why, like, I have a lead guest per room, so the lead gets the package. They get the one bag and the tags for whoever's in the room. So if there's 2, 4, 5, whatever, they get all that. But all of a sudden, my luggage tags are gone, and I actually sorry about that. Don't know what that was. Just reordered my drawstring bags, and even a slight change on that dropped the cost half by 50%.
That's awesome.
Just by changing
If
color.
you don't, who do you get your luggage tags to? If you don't mind me asking, again, not sponsored, unless
Not
you'd like to sponsor us.
sponsored. I have to look that up because it's either one of two, and I don't want to mix it. But I've been ordering the same one now for, I think this is the 3rd year, and I love them. They do a really
Oh my God.
beautiful
Because
job.
I think that would be really nice to be able to have luggage tags. And honestly, everybody always needs luggage tags. So
Yeah. I send them every
I
time
think
somebody travels, unless it's like super back to back. Like if they literally just went last month, then I'll do something different for them. But if they traveled 6 months to a year later, they may not have that anymore. So I always send a new one. And it, like, especially for like multi-gen, I have a group going to Ireland soon, in early June, actually. And like when you have, I think it's 13 people traveling, and all of those bags and all of those people having those white tags start coming off, it's very easy to see this is our stuff.
it's hard.
So I feel like, even if they had it before, it's nice to send it again.
Nice to do. Yeah, I've started, the other thing I've started doing is if I notice that I'm sending people to the same resort over and over, like a lot of the same clients, I've been reaching out to the BDMs and saying, what can you give me?
Yeah.
Like what tchotchkes do you have?
Yeah.
I don't care if it's hand sanitizer
Anything.
or whatever.
Yeah, people love stuff.
Just something. And I think something with your logo on it is not our logo with that resort logo is
Yeah.
nice because it's like, hey, it's like, oh, you appreciate me a little bit more.
Mhm.
So I have some of those, but yeah, it's tough doing all of them.
Yeah,
Not looking
actually,
forward to it.
I finished up 6 today. It's last night and today. I did 6 to get out for today's mail because we leave tomorrow for Europe. And so I'm going to be gone for the weekend. I don't get back until, I think, late Monday. So I had to get ahead of a bunch.
Oh my God, you're going to have a blast.
Mhm.
I'm going to channel you and I'm going to time box myself. So I play little games with myself when I do these of like, how fast can I do these? You get 15 minutes to go do this one. Go do it. Boom. Like, and I don't even mind putting like the whole packages together and writing on their address and all that kind of stuff. It's literally sitting down and be like,
Yeah.
da, 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 da. I've been thinking about this summer. Can I hire like a student to come
Yeah.
in just like 5 hours a week? Dude, here's a computer, sit down, do them, put the packages
Or a
together for
virtual
me.
assistant, maybe.
Yeah, like I just can't.
If so this is what I've learned this year. I always had stress about answering my business phone because when you're an agent of one, you're either on the phone talking to clients, doing stuff, right? Like I can't always answer the phone, and it would stress me out that I couldn't. And then I had to try to get through voicemails, and by the time I got to them, it's like late in the day, and it was just frustrating because most of the time it's a solicitation of random
Yep.
stuff or so I have an answering service that I can turn on and off that when I'm not available, it can do that. And that was a gift to myself to like take some of that stress of that. If the itineraries are something that stresses you and you don't enjoy, then I would say, and you could use that time to book more stuff, then
Right.
find another,
That's my
like a college kid
Yeah.
or a child that maybe needs the side job or virtual assistant
Right.
out there.
It could be my daughter this summer. Like, hey, you're sitting there for an hour. I'll pay you $20.
Yeah.
You get 3 itineraries done for me. It's great. There's $20 cash. Because you just get to this point, right?
Yeah.
Where you're like, it's too much. And yeah, and especially like you were talking earlier before we started, we can't catch up right now. Like it went from slow like a turtle to,
Yeah.
we're
This
leaving
week,
tomorrow,
this
everybody.
week got
Let's
crazy.
go tomorrow. It's
Yeah.
just hitting, which it's great. I'm not complaining. I love it, but I'd rather spend my time on booking.
Quoting and
something.
booking. Yeah. Yeah. It's hard to juggle everything, especially when it's busy. You know, everybody with the short bookings, you know, people traveling very soon to departure, you know, they're anxious to get everything booked, but there's, you know, probably 5 or 6 people in the same situation that I'm working with. So I'm trying to move as fast as I can to service
Yes.
everybody with the impending, like, I need to get these out before I leave. And so I'm actually, you know, by the time I get on the plane tomorrow night, I will have about, I'm assuming like 8-ish hours to catch up without the phone, without the interruption, as long as I can stay awake.
Right. Good luck. Good luck on that.
I could get some work done. So,
Oh, that don't feel good though. I don't feel good.
yeah. So,
All right. Well, I feel energized to go do my
go do your
itineraries
itineraries.
now. Ooh, I'm gonna make myself a hat that has the a big eye on it and just do it. Just do it. Can't you see me?
All right. So
Can
next
you do
time,
it?
I'll be back from Monaco. We can talk about that. We could talk about more about our lives and our travel businesses.
Perfect. I can't wait to hear about Monaco.
send you
Have an
pictures.
amazing time. I'm going to a cornfield this weekend
Oh.
in camping. So
Oh,
Monaco sounds way better.
wait, you're camping in a cornfield?
Yep. Out at our land.
Oh.
Can't wait. It'll be super fun.
Okay.
It'll be fun.
I'll send you
So-
pictures. If I win $1 million in the casino, I might not come back. But
Okay. I'll come visit.
ah,
Bye.
Thanks for listening to the Tahryn and Karen Show. Subscribe so you don't miss an episode.